Hello and welcome to another video. So today we are looking at how to tie a clove hitch. Clove hitch is kind of the crafter's knot. This is a really handy knot for starting off craft projects and things like lashings. I use it for the God's Eye craft. When I made that wooden sword, used it there. It's just a really handy way to start off lashing onto a pole. Now, if you're anything like me, you might well have found tying a clove hitch initially quite confusing, and you might still be in that space. So today we're going to look at two different ways to tie it, and we're going to look at it in depth. We're going to just deconstruct step by step how to tie this knot, how to make it make sense, and then how to teach it to the people you are working with. So coming a little bit closer, this is what a clove hitch will look like. We have our line going in one direction, like the other, and then we have a seat belt. Now, as I said, there are two different ways to tie it, depending on how your brain works or what you are tying it to, depends on which one you use. Now, for me, the second method really didn't make as much sense until I started working with the first method, which means you don't have to have the end of a pole. You can tie it on the middle of a pole because we are going to be tying it around it rather than sliding something over the top. This will all make sense in a moment. So we have, first of all, a bit of terminology. We have our working end here, we have our standing end here. That can be really important when we're tying knots. Now, you're going to wrap this working end around pole. Now you're going to be coming either side, top or bottom of your standing end. So the bit that's going out to the rest of your cord in the corner. See, wrap it around. Now you notice it's, on this case, it's come on the top. Now if it's on the top, you need to then transition it to moving on to the bottom, so you come across the standing end. Okay, so you see there's the bottom, and then once it's there, it's going to stay on that same side of the standing line. You can see the standing line's in the middle here, and we're just going to tuck the end through that diagonal that we just made there. Okay, and we can see we've got our classic clove hitch shape. We've got our working end on the bottom, standing end on the top, and then we have our seat belt stop. Again, whichever side you start off on, you need to be moving on to the other. So it's whatever makes sense for your brain or how you work it. So here it's below, and we need to be above. So we cross, then we come wrapping round, and then I don't want to go underneath this standing end. It needs to stay on the same plane. You can divide the stick into two. So we started on this side of the standing line. We want to be on that side. We come in, round, loosen it just a little bit so you can tuck it through that diagonal, and then we pull tight. Then all we need to do, snug it up a little bit, make it look a little bit neater, and that is our clove hitch finished. One last time. You're wrapping round. If you are above, if you come up below the standing line, you need to be above. So we cross over, then we come round, staying on the same edge, and then we tuck underneath that diagonal. And this gives the clove hitch this strength, this diagonal pull. So whenever we're pulling on one side or the other, we are pulling this diagonal strap. You can think of it tighter, which will hold it in place. But you notice one thing is that we can slide it around just a little bit if the bark's slippery. So this isn't the best knot to use to secure your tarp in a storm. As I said, I consider this a utility accessory knot. It's good for little craft projects, not necessarily for big ones. Now the second way of tying the clove hitch is the way that it is more commonly taught, because for some people this just works with their mind. And if you've done forest school training, they've probably called this fish on a dish, and that just gets the order right. So what you're doing is you're creating two loops, and then those two loops sit on top of each other and slide over the post. Say, like I said earlier, this only works if you can access the end of the post to slide it over. If you have a bar that you need to tie the clove hitch in the middle, you need to use that first technique. But if you're able to access the end, this way might actually be faster. As I said, sometimes it's whatever clicks with your brain. Okay, and it's important to know both techniques. It's important to know many different techniques to tying something, because particularly if you're working with a client or another individual, you're teaching someone else, having a different repertoire of techniques is critical, because everyone's brain works slightly different. This second way was terrible for me. I hated that. It just didn't work with my brain up until I organized and systematized it enough that it made logical sense. First method, yep, makes sense completely, totally okay. This way just messed with my brain for so long. Okay, now, like I said, there's got to be two different loops, and they've got to be in opposite directions. So if we create two in the same direction, then it doesn't work. And now the way to do this is to think about it in terms of behind and front. So, and also hand twists. So I'm going to hold the line in between my fingers like this, and then with my right hand I'm going to twist to place the rope behind. Now I understand this is going to be mirrored for you, but we'll do it a different way. I just wanted to show you initially how to do it. And then the second one comes in front. So there's a twist behind and there's a twist in front. And this is where the fish in a dish comes in handy, because it tells us the order. So the first one we make is the fish, second one is the dish. The fish goes on top of the dish. If the dish goes on top of the fish, you've got a mess. And then that, you want to keep that order same, stacked above each other as we bring it down over the top and pull it tight. Now this is hopefully a slightly better angle with you if the camera can focus properly. Okay, so you can see I've got my right hand here, left hand here. I'm sure everyone's familiar with those. And the first loop with my right hand is going to be behind. So I'm twisting away from me. And then the second loop in our rhyme, the dish, is going to come on top of. So this one's behind and this one's on top. And then always first loop goes over the second one, and we want to hold that together when we take it over our line. So behind, so twist behind, twist on top, first loop goes over the second loop. It's important that they don't slide through each other, that they're just stacked loosely above each other. You can have a bit of a gap in between. That's just going to slide down and pull tight. Now the key here, beyond remembering that behind, in front and over the top, is to start developing this kinesthetically. This is why I've been talking about that wrist movement. You want to emphasize the big motions involved with that so that you can remember. It's easier once you've done this motion several times, because you're thinking twist on top, twist behind. Think about flicking your wrists. So we come from palm down to palm up. On this side we come from palm up to palm down. So with the right we start palm down, palm up. Left we start palm up, palm down, and then we bring it over and slide it down over a pole, and we can pull it tight. So twist, so from down to up to down. First goes over the second, down slide. The more often you do this, the more sense it'll make and the better your body will remember it. Now when it comes to teaching this knot, in a similar way to the way I've just taught you how to do it, you want to include several ingredients to effective knot tying. To effectively tying any knot and teaching it to others is, first of all, to be able to show what the right knot looks like, to be able to describe it in detail. We have one line going that way, one line going that way, seat belt in between. That tells us have a core. Just like with a bowline. Well, with a bowline, we're looking for a loop going that way, a loop going that way, and the working end pointing up into the center of the loop. This tells us that that knot is correct, and it gives us something to look at and go, have I tied this right? And it starts helping us understand the knot at a deeper level. And the second part, break it down into core sections. Have step by step. Every step has to make sense. Bring it round, cross over, stay on the same side through the loop. You need to be able to repeat this again and again until it sticks. And then the third thing is to, if you can, have kinesthetic motions as part of it. Have a almost whole arm or whole body movement if you can. The more motion that's a part of a knot, the more likely people who have more of that kinesthetic mind will remember it. In fact, more likely anyone will remember it. Muscle memory is a thing, it's why it's saying. And the fourth and last one is make it make sense with rhymes if you need to. That's why fish in a dish has been the operant way of teaching this, because it sticks in the mind and it tells you the right order and it solves one of the big problems you have with tying the knot, which is making sure which loop goes on top of which. First loop goes on top of the second because fish goes on top of dish. It rhymes, it makes sense in our minds, it's memorable. So there we go. I hope you've found that useful as a way of, first of all, learning, and secondly, teaching this knot. Now, those principles are applicable across a wide range of knots. And if you would like to be part of learning that, then I do, of course, have an online course developed especially for outdoor leaders, for woodland leaders, scouts, bushcrafters, forest school leaders. The course is designed to take you through all the knots you need to know, including clove hitch, including the bowline, including some of the more complex ones like alpine butterfly, vink hitch, just with the stated goal of getting, first of all, you to knot mastery, secondly, to be able to teach it, and thirdly, and possibly most importantly, is to be able to put up tarp shelters super quickly, take them down super quickly. That's the transformation. That ability to create a place to be and to have safety from the elements, that is really critical. At the moment, it's looking a little overcast. I'm wondering whether to put a shelter up, but I know in that bag over there, I've got a tarp shelter that I can get up in under 6 minutes. And that means even if it starts raining now, I can throw a coat over the camera and I can go and get done. So if you'd like to check that out, again, links are down in the description. I do have a free taster for that. I do have just the tarp, choosing the tarp and rope elements as a separate course. So if you want to get an idea of whether this might be for you, do check that out. And with that, I want to say a big thank you to Wellness Woodlands for hosting again. Obviously they can't guarantee amazing weather, but so far it's been brilliant out here and peaceful as well. So if you're looking for a Shropshire camping experience, just the other side of the wire forest, then do check out Wellness Woodlands, link in the description below. With that, thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember to make the most of every day, and I'll catch you all next time.